We're good?
We're good.
Okay folks, so welcome to this week's full edition of Outfitter's Tales, and he's back.
Yay!
I've enjoyed the time
for a couple of days
in front of the camera on my own without him interrupting, but anyway, now I've got him, so that's it. So what we got for you this week? Well, actually a really nice piece. I enjoyed making this one. We're actually on Sika hinds, so it's a bit topical because we'll very shortly be on hinds. So we're going to bring you a clip from down in Argyll. This is where Rob's been holidaying for 3.5 weeks while he's been leaving me to do all the work up here. So you can get a bit of an outline of what the ground there is like, and I think we're going to tag a red hind on at the end of the clip for you.
I'm going to cover a wee bit of, I get asked quite a lot about how I keep my knife sharp and stuff. So I've done a couple of clips on knife maintenance and maintaining the edge. So first of 2 clips will be coming out on this episode.
Yeah, so it's a 1 and 2 parts, isn't it? Yeah. And then we've got our good mate of ours, Liam, from Bushcraft. Primal Nomad is his handle, or whatever the technical term is for that in social media terms. Nice guy. And we're going to bring you a little bit of Bushcraft.
And then I'm going to run through, again, questions from new subscribers, value scopes, what sort of value scopes there is out there, as in lower budget, but good for the money. So I'm going to run through one of those that I feel is right on par with a lot of the medium to top end.
Yeah, that's important, because if you haven't got a big budget, you know, you want to know what's good kit, and there is some good kit out there.
Can't see it, you can't shoot it.
That's very true. Just an update on why you've been away for 3.5 weeks. Stags, really.
Yeah. So obviously I've been up in Argyll for the past 3.5 weeks. First 2 weeks it was very, very warm. Very warm, full moon, no wind. It was just the perfect storm for the stags not going into rut. But in the past sort of week and a half, they've started rutting hard after that cold frost we had about a week and a half ago. Sikas, I've not heard an awful lot of the Sika whistling. Obviously, they have been rutting, I've been watching them rutting, but they're not doing an awful lot of territorial or
I've seen a lot of that.
calling.
When guys have been speaking to me actually from up north, it's the same right across the country, really. Pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Pretty quiet.
So
what I've got to add here is that while he's been off, I've had to blinking more work for a living, so I've been chasing my ass off up here, and I've also got to add that I've shot 2 stags while he was struggling.
You've seen the sympathy in the face here.
I'm exhausted, I'm going to have to go and have a lie down. Anyway, that's enough of that,
You got yourself a new car today as well, didn't you?
Oh, you never mentioned that. Yeah, we've had a new car day today. This is twice.
So just let me interrupt here. So the last time you got a new car, what happened to it on day 1?
Well, you and clients were outside Bedfordshire. I came out the car on a frosty morning, put my hand on the rear cab. It's a truckman cab on the back of a Ranger. Touched the thing, and it.
Day 1, yes.
Day 1.
So what's happened this morning?
Day 1. Picked new car up yesterday. Drove back up from Cambridge. Horrible weather till I got back to Scotland, where it's lovely. Got in the car with my wife and she said, there's a crack in the windscreen. So I'm going to go and have a cry in a bit.
I'm happy with my new car.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, we've both got nice Rangers. Mine's got a crack in the windscreen though. His is all right. Anyway, enough of that. We're bringing. Don't talk any more about cars. We're going to bring now you've got the Sika clip coming up from Argyll, so hope you enjoy it.
You should do.
Setting up a little bit back from a restock site that's round the corner from us, about 400 or 500 yards in front, and there's been quite a lot of deer coming down onto that restock, so I want to check that out this morning. But what I'm particularly that is a vulnerable site, but Sika is what I'd like to get. It's a really thick forest this, that's why the Sika like it, so there's not a lot of open in it, but we get to the open area around here and hopefully catch something before they go back into the thick cover. Okay, God, it's bitterly cold up here. I had to lie here for about 15 minutes. Plan worked. Really quite tricky. We've got a bit of breeze now. I managed to get through all this scrubby rubbish. I managed to just see a couple of what I suspected Sika up in the thick on the edge of the conifers, just got the whiteness moving. So we're able to kind of work back round, come up through these old oaks and get into quite a nice position from across the banking and then just wait. And I shot the first Sika just as it came clear, literally just managed to be able to see it and get the outline on the banking. And the other one I don't think knew what happened and initially ran up and slowly worked down through the trees. I initially didn't have a shot because it was obscured, but then it came, yeah, I know you want to go and find a deer. And then it came clear, just give me the chance of a shot, so we'll just give it a couple of minutes to settle down and then let my dog, who's keen as mustard to go and find these deer, which I can clearly see because they're laid there, but she doesn't know that, and get her kidneys. Bitterly cold. Okay, I'm going to continue actually because it's quite early. We've got the deer galloped off. I've fully galloped them out and we've just used our makeshift larder. Just let them drain. I like to keep the deer cooling and it's just nicely stiffening up and draining down, the blood's dripping out of them, so that's effective. We've got -2 this morning, so we've got a chiller. There's a breeze blowing straight down, it's blowing straight into those carcasses which are open there and draining off, so they're not coming to any harm. We're just going to continue and go out onto some open ground just on the right here. Usually there's a few reds loitering just on the edge of that because there's a basin that's pretty sheltered. Be out of this cold wind and we won't have disturbed anything this morning, so we're going to go and have a look over here. Nice morning.
We had a classic cameraman Stoker scenario. Dog was indicating off the top of the hill here. Clearly something down below us, and as we got onto the ridge line, you're looking down below, you can see just a group of reds, calf, a couple of hinds, working along this bottom ridge. I came left, got onto a mound. The original deer I was on, which Graham was filming, moved off for me round the back of this scrubby crap here, and I couldn't get the shot. But a hind came in beautifully along the wall here, which I nicely shot, thinking we'd got all that on camera for you, but Graham's filming the original calf, which he could see quite clearly from where he was. So that ran off, and he thought I'd missed, and I'm looking at him and he's looking at me, and I'm looking at a dead deer and he's looking at a calf running that way, calling me names. So we got it anyway, but you didn't quite see that bit, but you obviously see the recovery and everything. It's beautiful down here now, bitterly cold, but a lovely, lovely day. Fortunately, we've got a quad track here, so we'll go back and get the bike and bring the bike in to recover it. I've just scrolled the calf and left the hind and left it tucked at the back of the wall there. My dog's had a mad blast. I don't know where she gets her energy from, wish I had as much. Now she's waiting for home. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. I must admit, I really enjoyed that stalk. It was really good, but what it does show you is the reason I like Sika is they are incredibly difficult deer to stalk in a commercial woodland environment. Bit of a different in pool basin when they're out in the marshes, but in a woodland environment, the natural environment, they don't like to move until it's really quite dark, hug the shadows, so you've really got to be on the ball to get them, and I like the challenge of that. They're reluctant to come out into open spaces, so I think this clip probably, that clip probably showed you that, but they're great deer and a good eating deer as well.
My favourite to stalk, my favourite to eat.
Yeah, Roan Sika, yeah, I would agree with you. I would find it difficult to separate them, but I do like Sika. Yeah, I do like Sika.
It's the way they stay that sort of 2-3 metres into the woodland where you can't see them, but they can see out.
Yeah.
You can see them in the thermal, but you can't see them in the scope.
That's where thermals come in. Actually, I think this clip shows that, because you can. It's very difficult to pick them up on the banking at, you know, exactly what I'm talking about. But I think the other thing is I just think when Sika are rutting, that whistle. Oh, it's just awesome. It says back on you.
Chills down your spine sort of scenario, especially when they're like 10-15 metres into the woods away from you.
I know, you know they're there.
Yeah. But yeah, so that leads me on to the sort of next clip. Obviously, when I've been up in Argyll over the past few days, everything's wallowing, hinds included, to get rid of all the flies. There's loads of kids up there at the moment. Yeah. There's not so many ticks at the moment.
No, the deer have been clear here as well, although it's a lot worse
there is
down
a few,
there.
but not as many as normal at this time of year. But yeah, so deer are wallowing, and it's not great for your knives. Obviously, all the sand and grit in the fur when you're opening up the beast or garlicking takes that edge off your knife very quickly. So this next clip I'm going to show you how to maintain the edge. I do this after every couple of stags at least, or at the end of every day, just to keep you guys involved. So hope this helps you guys keep your knives nice and razor sharp.
We've got a two-part as well. You're going to follow that up with
so this is the maintenance, and then so this is maintaining the edge, and then the next one will be sort of recovering an edge. So here we go, have a look at this, see if it does you any good.
You nearly swore then.
Oh, I never.
You nearly swore then? I heard you.
Anyway, enjoy this clip, guys. Hi guys, Rob here from Talon Gear. I've done this before on another sort of platform, but what I'm going to run through quickly is knives. So very, very, very big part of my life is obviously knives, and I've got quite a few cheap ones as well as some more expensive ones. But what I want to talk about today is knife maintenance, so maintaining the edge of the knife, but also recovering the edge of the knife when it's just gone past that part of being really, really sharp. So we're not actually talking about sharpening knives here. So maintaining the edge and recovering the edge. Sharpening is totally different. That's where you're actually taking loads of metal off the knife using a whetstone or any other sort of any other means of actually taking metal off and putting a new edge onto the knife. All I'm talking about is maintenance and recovering the edge once it's gone slightly past that razor sharp edge. Different types of knife here. So this one here is one of the Revenant knives. This currently is one of my favourite knives. It's just big enough for the reds, but also small enough to do quite a lot of roll, Chinese water deer and Muntjac. Edge on it is phenomenal, and the reason I've got the two knives here is basically the Scandi grind. So this is a long flat grind all the way to the edge. So it's flat, same angle all the way through, as you can see here on the tip, but we'll do that close in shortly. And then the second type of knife, so this one here is one of the Embelieve Garens, is a micro bevel edge. So the edge, the sharpening of the blade is actually only on the very, very sort of last 2, 3, 4 millimeters of the knife, whereas the grind on this is a good sort of 1 centimeter long. There is certain different ways to maintain them and sharpen them, but we'll talk through that in a minute. So me personally, every time I use my knife, so every deer that I gralloch, or every couple of deer, if I'm doing 2 deer at the same time or 3 deer at the same time, I'll use the knife, come back home, clean it all off, and then I'll maintain the edge by basically stropping it with a leather paddle or a leather block, like so, in combination with some basically buffing wax. So this is the sort of wax that they put onto the buffing wheels for shining up jewellery and metal. So what we're actually doing to the edge of the knife itself is actually just polishing it back. So when your knife goes blunt, on a microscopic level, if you can imagine, so that's your knife here like this, like so, and this part here is your sharp edge. Well, when it goes blunt, what happens is this sharp point here tends to roll over or just gets misaligned, and all we're doing with this sort of stuff is realigning it and putting a very, very fine edge on the top of it there. Okay, so all we're doing is realigning that edge to make it all sit nice and perfect, and this is all at a microscopic level. So first thing we do then with the block here, so this is quite a rough leather, as you can see, put some wax on it. So just the wax itself has got some fine, very, very, very fine particles in it that's going to give you that polished edge. You'll see people when they're sharpening the knife, they do the old barber strop, like so. That's all fine and dandy if you do it properly. But what you'll tend to get people to do is they'll flick it too early and they're actually putting a bigger roll onto the edge. The easiest way that I've found to do it, and the easiest way to show people how to do it, is hold the knife steady and buff with this. So on the edge, push, flip the knife over, push. And we're just doing that, and all we're doing is, you can actually see on the edge of the knife itself where it actually gets shiny and you're polishing it. You don't need to do this loads, it's only 4 or 5 strops either side to maintain the edge. And that's all we're doing, maintaining the edge. Yeah. As you can probably tell, I do quite a lot of knife sharpening, and I've got a hairy arm, which is my right hand, and a sort of bald arm. So we'll just give it a quick test. I don't know if you can see there, but all the hairs are just falling off. So razor sharp, yep. With the micro bevel edge, it's slightly different. You have to put more of an angle onto the strop itself. So this, with the Scandi grind, we're going straight across the flat edge, so it's nice and easy. You can actually feel it, you get a lot of friction on it when you're doing it properly. But with the micro bevel edge, you need to follow the same angle of your actual bevel. So it's just a case of, if you notice, I've got slightly more of an angle here, whereas if I was doing this with the Scandi grind, it would be flat on like so. I just basically lift the angle up, so I'm matching the angle of the grind itself. And this way as well, I'm in more control. If you start doing this and you start going too fast, you're not in a lot of people when they do this, they're only sharpening one part of the knife. You should be going all the way up the whole length of the knife on the same angle. And here comes the rain. Again, 4 or 5 times. Like so. Again, razor test. So you can see how the hair's coming off. Razor sharp. A sharp knife is a safe knife. So that's part 1, guys. So look forward to the next part, which we're going to go through the maintenance. So this is where you're going to require the use of a butcher's steel. I'm going to head inside because it's raining. Okay guys, I hope you found that interesting. So look forward to the next episode of my knife sharpening tips. Basically recovering an edge when it's gone too far. Again, we're not sharpening yet. We're just recovering the edge. Sharpening is a whole different kettle of fish.
I've got to say, he is good at this.
Oh, look at my arms.
Because he
Tear arm.
tests it on his hairs. But Rabbi's good at that, I've got to say. And he taught me how to use a strop and sharpen a knife and keep an edge. So he is good at that. So that's worth watching. And it is something that not a lot of people do well, to be honest. I have so many people come here talking to me about knives and just direct them to him anyway. So that's worth watching.
I've stopped Chris from using the angle grinder on his ember leaves and stuff. Yeah.
Not quite. I send it back to ember leaf to have it sharpened. Actually, just talking about that, it's again, this nicely leads in. There's 2 things here. Firstly is we're going to bring you a clip now from Liam, my good friend, Bushcraft, which leads nicely into knives anyway, because they're always messing around with knives and chopping bits of wood and everything. Chopping bits of wood is really good for keeping an edge on a knife, trust me. So if you're into bushcraft, then this will be, very good, or the knife sharpening section. And the other thing is, I'm doing a long-term test on a James Penny knife, which is a really good knife. So I've been working with ember leaf for years and years and years, and I did an article for Shooting Times on the custom knives available to folk. And as a result of that, James Penny sort of worked a knife around my spec, and he produced a knife that's close to mine.
Remember who showed you the James Penny knife originally?
He did, and Rob introduced him to the James Penny knife. I've got a bit of credit where credit's due. But nice guy, James. So I've got this knife now, which about is my ideal, I think, for a knife. And I'm going to do a long term on that. So we'll be bringing you reviews on a knife that gets used every day. And how it sort of stands up to that, if you like. And I'm quite, hard on a knife. He doesn't like it when I take the head off and I'm poking in. He doesn't like that, but so that'll be useful. But anyway, we've got coming up bushcraft, so knives and everything. Yeah. That's all quite.
I'd just like to add there that I've now got a new favourite knife, and I'll talk about it in a later episode.
Later episode, right? Keep that under your hat then.
Yeah.
Okay. So I hope you enjoy this one. This is Liam and Bushcraft.
Hey guys, I'm just going to start collecting some nettles now. I'm going to make a nettle soup today. Really good wild food, full of iron, got loads of vitamins in it. What I've been doing is I've been filling up my billy can here just with the leaves. There's a few stalks in there and seeds, but I can get them out as and when I need them. I'm just going for the kind of younger leaves here, trying to get the ones that are a bit more fresher. Normally you can actually cut them down and come back and revisit and get the new shoots, but I'm actually just going for the tips of some of these at the moment. I'm wearing gloves, but you can grab them if you give a good pinch, nice and firm in the upwards direction, and then the hairs won't sting you. So you can grab them like that, and you can actually shed off the leaves without getting stung. You can see now I've filled up my billy can pretty much to the top, just a little bit lower. I know they'll reduce. I'm going to obviously take them back, give them a bit of a clean up and boil them up. There's a nice little natural clearing here that can utilise to stop and cook up these nettles to make a soup. First start is make a fire. Just doing a normal fire today, just making a little platform to raise it off the ground. Going to start it with birch bark that I've collected over the last few months that I've got here in my tinder pouch, and there's plenty of dry pine within arm's reach to get this fire going without even having to go collect any firewood. So I've got some really nice papery birch bark here. This has been collected over a number of weeks and months. Every time I see some I just stuff my pockets full of it. Also got some of this, which is really dry pine sticks, and there's also plenty of this dry pine needle material around, which I'm just going to actually lay my birch bark into a slight nest of this. Just going to use my ferro rod and the back of my castrum knife. Turn that over onto itself. Steaming hot, hot, hot. So I'm just going to prepare these nettles now. Just going to go through and take off the leaves and dispose of the kind of pollen sacs and seeds. Smoke always in the eyes. And in the bottom you'll just have all the seeds, so you can just get rid of them. There's a few little leaves in there, but no, I'm happy with that. There's about half a billy can worth of nettles in there. What I'm going to do is cover them in some water, and I've got just a little bit of vegetable stock, but you know, if you didn't have vegetable stock you could use bones from an animal. You could boil that down to make your own stock, or roots, you know, you've got burdock roots or you've got wild garlics. I've actually got a clove of normal garlic which we're going to put in, and you know, a bit of salt and pepper, and one key ingredient which I'll show you in a bit. Alright, fill that up with water. So I've got my Hidden Woodsman food pouch, well it's a tinder bag, but food bag, and in here I have many goodies, but I've got what I almost forgot, which is some parsley, which is grown from my garden, and some spring onions, which are not grown from my garden. I've got some little new potatoes, which I'm going to chop up and put in there. I've got some vegetable stock and a clove of garlic. So I'm just going to slice the potatoes straight into here, but I'm probably going to wash these out first. I know it's metal on metal, but so using potato, but of course you could substitute that with a few different roots. There's burdock roots, you know, you could use even cattail. The spring onions you could, and garlic you could substitute with ramsons or a few flowered leeks like I did in, you know, my previous video. I'm going to put in a few bits of parsley now, just to give a hint of a taste. And I have my trusty pot of salt and pepper. Can put in a bit of pepper, black pepper. Lovely. Really like it. These bits of paper can just go on the fire. Going to give it a stir now all together, just mix it round. This is a spoon that I made about a year and a half ago. So just cover them all the way over, and I'm going to stick that on to boil. Getting there. Still a little bit hard, as expected. Keep that heat in there. Put that back on the fire. It's a long one. This has been bubbling away now for a good 15-20 minutes. It's reduced quite a lot. Everything's broken down and looks to be a good stew consistency. Just going to move away from the fire now because it's extremely hot. So this is a special ingredient, some sour cream. Just going to add that in. It should give it a really nice flavour. Really nice. Really hot though. I'll let that cool down. Kind of like leeking potatoey. Bit different. Nice. Really, really tasty. The nettles have got such a nice texture. Good. So the fire's pretty much burnt out now. Just gonna break some of these larger pieces back into the middle as usual, and once that's burnt down, I'm gonna put some water over it and just scatter the ashes. I can start to dispose of this now. This was quite a simple setup. We just had a stick with a fork in the ground. We had a stick that was in the ground. We had another forked stick in the ground which was holding it up. The good thing is there was no cuts made, so I can just scatter them. They don't stand out. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. It was a really nice meal. Lovely way to spend a day. See you on the next one.
Okay guys, hope you enjoyed that with Liam. Hopefully Liam will be back up here in Scotland soon. We had him up a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was 2 years. We met him down at Childers HQ actually, and he said he wanted to come up for a good roebuck. In fact, no, he won the draw, didn't he?
Yeah, he won
The Lucky Hunter.
Lucky Hunter, yeah.
Yeah, he did actually.
And he shot a gold medal, didn't he?
In fact, that's two consecutive years, 2 winners of the Lucky Hunter, prize draw for a roebuck with us, and 2 gold medals. Because Aidan,
we spoil you.
Aidan got the first, and Liam got the second one. So anyway, there we go. And then we've got coming up is you and the review of the budget.
Hawke
I won't
Endurance.
use cheap because cheap's the wrong word. Some of the budget kit out there is excellent.
I explained during the video anyway, but for me, when I was growing up, Hawke scopes were sort of considered for air rifles and rimfires and stuff. Having seen the new stuff, not quite so anymore, and they're catching up with the big boys at a budget. I see a budget price. They're still not cheap, but they are a lot of glass for the money. Here's a review. Hi everyone, Rob here from Talon Gear. Today I'd like to discuss the Hawke Endurance rifle scope, which I find quite impressive. In the past, personally, I've always thought of Hawke scopes as being primarily designed for rimfires and air rifles. I can tell you that categorically right now, that's not true. These scopes are more than capable for deer stalking. Model I've got here is the 3x15, the 3x12 by 56. Parallax free, all good, and the reticle on this one is basically illuminated red dot with the crosshairs, which I personally prefer to use. I've had this on the scope now for probably a year and a half now. Again, on one of the client's 243 rifles, so we take this out primarily for roe. Very, very surprising for the low light capabilities for this scope. Again, having always thought it was for air rifles only, it's more than capable. So this scope here is the Endurance. As I says, it does come, Hawke have got a multitude of scopes out there. Primarily used with the parallax to side wheel, so one of the main big sellers is obviously the Sidewinder. That can be used for the night vision, but we're going to do another product review on that later on. Retails at 540. Thank you, cameraman. so this retails at 540. It's a lot of bang for your buck, basically, guys. If personally, I'd like to have a little bit more so it's only 12 times zoom. I like my sort of 3 to 15 personally, so the 5 times stuff, but this is more than capable for stalking deer, as many a client will attest to. Steve will put the specs and everything down the bottom here for you all to peruse, because I don't do all this sort of me. Okay, so have a look at the specs, but from me, very, very capable rifle scope. Is it as good as a Swarovski or sort of Zeiss or the top end scopes? No, but you're not paying that money for it, so yeah, there you go. Depends on your budget, obviously. So yep, there we go. That's all from me. Up to you guys. Cheers.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Rob knows what he's talking about. He's been around these things for a long time, not as long as me, but he's been around for a long time, and he knows how they work, and I don't. So it's quite useful.
How long have you been stalking, mate? I shot my first deer when I was 8.
Yeah, well, you shot your first deer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not stalking.
What's stalking?
It'd have been one of them over there.
Oh, shut up. Anyway.
Well, I've done where I was now. I was going to congratulate you now. I was going to say that was going to be a good review. I'm not now. That's a crock of crap, and don't listen to it because it's rubbish. Anyway, coming up next week, we've got a short. I don't actually know what we're showing yet, but what I do know is we're hoping to bring some news on a new product that we're going to get hands on. A bit of a new association, so that might be quite good.
Should we give them a hint of?
Go on then.
Thermal. equipment, new thermal equipment coming on the market.
Yeah, really.
From a well-known, it's a sister brand of a well-known brand.
You know, we could have run a competition on that then. We could have said any right guesses get a prize.
No.
Okay.
Not,
right,
nothing for free.
Okay, fine, there are too much then. Yeah, okay, so that's, we're back obviously. So that's a good night from me.
And it's a good night from him.
And keep subscribing and liking, please, and don't forget.
Tell your friends.
Yeah, that's the one. Phone a friend.
Cheers,
See you
guys.
next week.
Cheers, guys.